Hey guys, how's it going? So, just real quick before I start, it's currently summertime here in Australia, which means very hot weather, so I've got to have my slider door that leads to the balcony open to let some air in. I've also got this fan here on me, so if there's any noise from the fan that interferes with the microphone or any traffic that you should hear outside that also interferes, I apologize in advance, but my options are either keep myself cool or die, so, there's that. Right, so the game I want to, I was about to say interview. I'm like, yeah, I'll just interview a game. No. Alright, the game I want to review is called Mythic Manor, and I'll read out the synopsis as is written by the developer, as, they're trying to advertise the game. So, here it is. Mythic Manor is a free, adult, interactive visual novel game offering a new home and a new world. Delve deep into your fantasies and experience the day-to-day life of sharing a manor with five gorgeous mythic girls. Spend time and build relationships with the characters you like in currently over 70 unique character events, plus special hidden events. I presume that there's now more than 70 unique character events, because when this was written it was a few updates prior to what we've currently got now. And so, here's what I'll say about this game, now that I've actually written out a structure so I don't just run off on tangents and just talk randomly all over the place. So, that's the synopsis out the way. So the engine that this game is made with is the Ren'Py engine, and as I've stated before, I quite like that engine because it's really user-friendly, it just works well, and assuming the programmers are decent, you get very minimal bugs with it. So in terms of its genre, well, it is basically a fantasy sort of a game, because the term mythic refers to these particular, I guess, supernatural creatures. They're just shapeshifters. So they can exist in a human form or their animalistic form, and it varies. Basically, there's one of them which can morph from being like a sort of a dog-based creature to human. Another one which is like a water-based creature, and then you got another one who's actually a ram demon. So that's pretty cool. And so, that's like basically what you got with the genre. So it's fantasy, but it's set in modern-day times. So I would say it's basically, low to mid-fantasy. And the character you play is a male who, and the name as well you get to make up, but the character you play is a half-mythic. And so that's later explored in the game's storyline, and so I don't want to ruin any of that. But aside from the genre of the game, the style of it, because you've either got, Sandbox or a linear structure. I use the term linear somewhat loosely, but this is a game which is advertised as being Sandbox. I just call it a game that's on a loop. So it's one of those games, if you've ever seen my review for Photo Hunt, basically the same kind of idea. It exists in a 24-hour period in the day, and during the particular times of the day, like you got your morning, your early morning, the afternoon, and, night, late night, all that. Certain characters will be in certain locations, and which of course will spark off different events. And so what I liked about this game was the different sort of variety in the women that you get to basically have a harem relationship with, because, it's one of those games. In terms of the graphics and the art style, and just so you have an idea as the way that they're presented, it's very much reminiscent of Japanese CGI style anime. So if you've ever played a modern Final Fantasy game, it's, very similar style, like, artwork and, a design to that. So, basically, if you want, like, the, short petite girl with big tits, they got you covered. If you want the average height girl, which is skinny and kind of got the more athletic figure, you got that. If you want the more voluptuous, curvaceous woman, you got that as well. So, that's what I really like. There's a lot of different, excuse me, recovering from a cold, I still got a bit of a slight cough. So there's a lot of, variety, so no women ever really kind of like, looks the same, and so I thought that was cool. There isn't really one big overlining storyline to the game in regards to its plot, but basically what you have is a storyline that is relevant to each of the women. So, one woman will have their own storyline, another one will have their own, and it's basically you progress in events with these particular women. So, some of them will overlap in special events, so that's kind of cool as well, but for the most part there is an overlining story which is focused on, the one particular woman, and so really, that's all I have to say about the plot and the storyline. It's still fun, and I still really enjoyed, learning the backgrounds of all these characters and things like that, and so, that was kind of cool. In terms of the locations and stuff like that, they're pretty okay as well. Keep in mind the game is yet unfinished, so I'm reviewing the current version. So I presume that they're going to add a lot more, later on. But as of right now, I still think it's still worth playing with what's currently available. So, you've got like, the town library, you got fishing mall, fishing lake. Then you got your shopping mall, you got a gym, you got a doctor's office, an ice cream parlor. There's different locations within the manor itself. It's basically just like, you got your swimming pool area, the bathroom, a laundry room, and then all the rooms where the women of the game will stay. As for the dialogue, I thought that was, pretty well written. I noticed very minimal typos, if any. In terms of the way that people communicate with you, I thought that was done in, a pretty good way. It never really felt like you're speaking to a prop. I'm not going to say that the conversations were super deep and meaningful, but they were still enough to make me care about the characters nonetheless. Now, in regards to the loot content, there is quite a lot. Now, what I like too is that every single woman has their own different type of kings and their backgrounds or things that they're comfortable with. So basically, if you just want to get straight into the action, go to the character Vel. She's the one that's the ram demon, and basically she, needs to regain her power by, lust. That's how it works with her character, which makes sense because, like I said, she's a demon. Essentially, she's just the equivalent of a succubus in this game, and so makes all the sense in the world that her character would be the stripper. Am I right? So, she's the one that's very open with all that stuff. You got other ones in the game that are quite, shy and standoffish. Then you got another ones that are sort of like, the in-between. And so you just need to decide how it is you're going to interact with the characters. Now, there are some multiple choices in the game. They don't really make a big overall difference in the grand scheme of things. It just depends if you want to basically, see a lewd scene play out in this way, or if you want to see the scene play out in another way. But, in regards to the structure of it being, and I use the term loosely, multiple choice, it really, there's kind of like, from what I can tell, only really one main ending when it comes to, or really the endings when it comes to the individual women. It just depends on what order you want to do whatever in. So, consider that. As far as, let's see, the gameplay goes, yeah, the gameplay was still pretty fun. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, it's point and click. However, if you ever get stuck, there are clues that you can look up by at any time. It's basically just like this interface that's always readily available to you, where you can just open up the stats of all the women and see, how far you progress with them, and it'll give you a little hint as to, but well, not really a hint, it basically literally tells you what time of the day and the location to go speak to the person in order to progress further with that person's story arc. Also, I should really give one other little bit of information about the character that you're playing. Your character's mother was a mythic, and so now your character in the early 20s, I think it's 21, something like that, now gets to go to this manor and live with all these other women. And typically they didn't allow guys in, but it's one of those stories because, you have to be the only guy in the whole place for it to be a harem. But the reason why you were accepted in there is because one of the other women, the bigger, curvaceous woman, Esther, was basically best friends with your character's mother, and so that's why she takes you in, because you're family. So, they at least explain all this stuff, relatively well. And again, this game is incomplete, so I'm sure there's going to be more content coming out, but, we can all experience that together, assuming you go and play this game now. Let's see what else we got here. In terms of the music and the audio, yeah, you got... I'll start with the music. So the music is pretty much just kind of there, I guess, as a filler, just to go, oh, we could add music, let's do it. But if I'm being honest, you don't really need the music on. It's pretty much just like the one track all the way through anyway, and so it's, yeah, I don't know. I just felt like it was kind of pointless, so luckily you get to switch it off. As for the other audio, in regards to sound effects, well, during the sex scenes, there's yeah, sound effects of basically, you know what it sounds like in all the pornos, where like dicks just smashing in a vagina. You basically kind of just got like those kind of sound effects, and you know the generic uh, moaning of pleasure that the woman does. But ultimately, I kind of felt like I didn't really need that stuff on. It didn't really help the scenes or the experience, at least for me. So, but I recommend, you know, when you go playing the game, leave all the music on. If it gets annoying, switch it off, and then you also have another option to switch off the voice volume and then other just random sound effects. So, in terms of bugs and any other issues, they've since been fixed, but there was one where there was a particular character who's, you know, to my eyes, she looks Egyptian, and she's the one that's, I guess, kind of like a sphinx. So there was a particular part where you try and go into her room, and then the game kind of just crashes. But you know, to my better knowledge, that's been fixed, and so you know, at least people report the bugs, and then the developers, you know, get on it, or developer. I think it might just be one person, but anyway. So yeah, at least yeah, they're listening to what the players are saying, and then going out of the way to try and fix that as soon as possible. So you know, that's good to see. So basically, that's pretty much all I really wanted to say about this game. But in terms of you know, the lewd content, because I know that's the main reason why people play these games. Of course, I do care about the story as well, because if I care more about the characters and their struggles, I care more about the fucking. But regardless, yeah, you're pretty much going to be not disappointed. There's like a lot of different, you know, ways it plays out. So depending on the character you play. So other characters like it, you know, rough, and they're into the BDSM and stuff like that. Others kind of go for the more romantic style. And then there's everything else in between. So it may take a little bit for you to sort of get up to any of the lewd content. Maybe not like just in general, but I mean with like certain girls it takes a bit longer. So, you know, consider that. Also, there's no incest in this game. That's a rarity. But yeah, on top of that, that's really all I can say about it. So anyway, hopefully you guys go check out the game. Hopefully you enjoy it, and you know, hopefully once this pandemic's over, I get to see updates on this thing done more frequently. So you know, there's that. Alright guys, well, thanks for tuning in. You guys have a good day. Go play some games.